Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live once again. Sorry, my throat is kind of weird, and so I've got the sniffles. I've got a bit of a cold. Both me and the fiance are at home sick today. I'm kind of taking the day off, but someone on Twitter suggested maybe I should make a video about it, and I thought I would because I have a lot of interesting things I think about being sick to say. Um, a lot of people think because I'm a big guy, I'm sick all the time, but it's actually the other way around. I am a big guy because I'm sick all the time, rather than the other way. When I was a kid, I had asthma. I was allergic to everything in the air that there was, from pollen to trees to animal dander. I was allergic to tobacco, which my parents being chain smokers made my life a living hell. I had chronic bronchitis. I had pneumonia 4 times by the time I was 5, and I was hospitalized every time. My breathing has always just been horrendous, just absolutely horrendous. A lot of people make fun of me when they see in the videos how easily I get out of breath, and they're like, "Oh, it's because you're fat. Because you're fat." It's because I've never been able to breathe correctly. And even with like spritzers and things like that, they don't really help that much. When I was a kid, I got chicken pox, and chicken pox almost immediately led to pneumonia. They put me in a oxygen tent, to try to keep me alive. What they don't think about there in that scenario is that chickenpox thrives off of oxygen. So my breakout was 10 times worse than they'd ever seen. I had them literally on every inch of my body, every embarrassing inch of my body. Um, but that's not the good ones, really. I mean, I've been in and out of the hospital the entirety of my life. I've been sick here and there throughout the entirety of my life. My health has actually been better in the past 5 to 10 years than it's ever been in my life, which I know I've been my heaviest during that period of time. But I have the chronic ailments like the lymphedema, which is this perpetual swelling in my leg due to lymph. And then now that my heart's not working as good as it should be, being older and being the size that I am, that's perpetuated by the congestive heart failure issues. And then there's the diabetes, and there's all that other stuff. But even that isn't as bad as I've had it before. That lymphedema once led to an infection when I was 25 years old. And that infection, like, I went back to the doctor over and over and over again, and they would give me some antibiotics to knock part of the infection out. But what they didn't realize is that I had a condition called lymphedema, which is causing this porous material to appear in my legs, and that porous material was eventually getting infected. And it was almost impossible to fight the infection in it. So, over the course of 3 or 4 months, I ended up getting this infection that rotted the flesh, actually necrotized the flesh. And it was under the skin, so I didn't even know that it was happening. I knew it was extremely painful. I knew that it leaked. I knew that it smelled bad. I knew it was awful. And I'd go to the doctor, and they'd tell me to put an ace bandage on it, which is extremely painful. Well, eventually, I went septic. And that means that the infection spread into my blood. My actual blood was infected. My venous system was infected. And I was living with just my roommate at the time. And when that happened, I ended up in the hospital. I ended up unconscious for 3 days, like laying in just my bed in a pair of shorts in my own filth for 3 days. Having these awful night terrors, having these awful dreams. And fortunately, my good friend Philip Bird and my good friend Chad, my best friend in the world, my roommate, they drugged me to the hospital. And they originally wanted to amputate the leg. The infection was so bad. But first, they had to beat the infection that was in my heart. So they ran a PICC line directly to my heart, and they pumped one of the strongest antibiotics known to man directly into my heart to try to keep me alive. And they succeeded. And then slowly and surely, over the next 6.5 months, they managed to heal that leg. But I couldn't walk very much during that period of time because I had this wrap, and the wrap would stick to the wound, and if I did walk very much, it would rip off the scab, and they didn't think they were going to be able to save it. The doctor that looked at my leg, he only ever looked at it twice, and the nurses did all the work. The very first time he said, He looked at it, he said, "You know, we're eventually going to have to amputate this. You should let us do it now." And I said, "Well, let's try. Let's try. It's going to be very painful. And chances are your prognosis is not very high. Could get infected again. You could end up back in the hospital. It could kill you. Well, let's try. All right, well, then let's try." And then at the end of that 6 month period, or however long it did end up taking, he saw it again, fully healed. And he's like, "My nurses did a good job, huh?" Yeah. Then that same leg has been infected off and on, off and on, off and on throughout the entirety of my life. And eventually it gets really, really bad. And the last time that I got really, really bad would be 2007. And I ended up in the hospital once again. I was unconscious for 2 days before my roommate and my friends finally drugged me to the hospital. And I was laying there, and that doctor had told me something else that I've neglected to mention. He said that you need to take extremely good care of your legs. It's the most important thing in the world. You need to wear your compression socks. You can never safely get on an airplane. You need to make sure that you're always taking good care of them. You don't bump them. You don't scratch them. Nobody touches them. You always wear long pants. You always protect them, because eventually it'll get infected, and you're going to lose that leg, or it may even kill you. And so when it got infected, that really major time in 2007, and I was laying in bed at that hospital, I remember thinking to myself, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. If I have to die, I've had a good life up till now. I've lived longer than I expected to live, and I'm okay with it. And I was going in and out of consciousness, in and out of consciousness. These little brief 5 minutes, little 7 minutes at times, as that antibiotic started working and started killing off the infection that was inside my body. And I woke up from that, And it was a bad time. It was a really bad time. I lost some of my best friends in the world. I lost the girl I was dating while I was in that hospital. Just some of the worst times of my life. I made it through it. What's so sad about that? What really, I think the lesson to be learned from all of this is that I thought I was ready to go. But since then, and that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 5 years since that happened, I healed the leg. I've gained control of my eating habits. I met the love of my life. I've replaced the friends that I lost with people that I love dearly. I've gained a family. I've created a career. And I'm happier now than I've ever been. And I was ready that day to give up. And something, somewhere, maybe part of me, maybe some external force out there, wasn't ready for me to give up. And I would have never met you had I given up that day. So, something to think about. Today is just a cold, though. We all know, and we all live in fear. I think we all do, that maybe one day I'm going to pass from this, world of ours, that I'll shuffle off this mortal coil, and you're all going to be very sad about it. And I guess this video will be kind of ironic on that day. But I'm reminded by the fact that we're all mortal, and we're all lucky to be here. And I hope even when we have a cold, we can be grateful for that.